Hey everybody, it's Pancake. Welcome to the newest discussion on Game. I am joined by,
TheJamesRolls.
and nobody else, because Gator doesn't know anything about Pokemon at all.
Yeah, he was before this recording talking on Twitter. Uh, he's like, aren't I in the discussion?" And he goes, "Oh wait, because I know nothing about Pokemon."
Anyways, we're going to be discussing the new Pokemon games for Switch, what we'd like to see, basically stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So anyways, we have some questions. It's basically like every other discussion, okay guys?
It
So I'm just going to read off the questions.
it almost wasn't though because you thought ahead of time and brought out your inner later Gator to you and did the questions. For a while, I thought that this was gonna be like a 2 hour discussion just randomly talking about anything and everything that they could possibly do for the Switch game.
Yeah, I wanted it to be like that, but I was like, better think ahead. All right. First question: do you think Game Freak switching gears to Nintendo Switch is a good idea?
I actually think it is because, contrary to what Nintendo likes to say, I do think that the 3DS is starting to run its course. So it's good for Game Freak to switch over to console at this point, and who knows what the future holds for Nintendo handhelds, but at least while the Switch is out, I can't see Nintendo releasing a new handheld. They'll try to support the 3DS as much as they can, but I don't think they'll introduce like a new generation handheld for at least the next 5 to 10 years. So I think Game Freak going to the Switch is a good move for right now. The only regret I think Game Freak would have with the 3DS is not properly developing 6th generation all too well. But that's a whole nother topic. Yeah, I think it's a good idea to switch as right now while the Nintendo Switch is a hot commodity in the gaming community. So yeah, I think it's really good to do it as soon as they possibly did.
When I first heard that they had decided to make the next main series games for the Switch, I was really excited. I still don't have a Switch, but it's really nice that they're thinking, about this. Thinking that the handheld market's probably for Nintendo is probably not going to do as well anymore. Now that the Switch is a hybrid console and it's basically a handheld already. But they did say that it's only for main series Pokemon games to come to console, so I don't think they're making the full transition. Maybe spin-offs are going to be handheld exclusive. My main thing is it's going to be pretty hard for Game Freak to do it alone. They're going to have to get some help because they have been handheld ever since the Pokemon franchise began. So they're going to have to get the people who worked on Pokemon Stadium, Pokemon XD, all that stuff to just help them out a little bit until they're like, ready, to do it by themselves.
It's interesting you bring that up because I heard that the development of Ultra Sun and Moon was handled by like a brand new team for the Game Freak company, and with a new team working on Ultra Sun and Moon, I heard that like the old team that worked on like the first couple generations were working on the Switch game. So that's interesting you brought that up because it seems like they're bringing like more experience to the Switch project while a new team handles handheld. So maybe they'll have the new team do spin-off games like a new mystery dungeon. Maybe they'll return to Pokemon Rangers or another conquest game. That's interesting. That'd be kind of cool if they had this new team that they apparently had working on Ultra Sun and Moon do handheld stuff for the 3DS, while their more experienced team like Masuda, Satoshi Tajiri, all those other people work on console games. I don't necessarily think they do need as much help, considering if that's actually true that they have the more experienced people working on the Switch game. But I would be... It's not on this list of questions you did put together, but I think it would be interesting if they did get help from, like, what's the name of the company that worked on Coliseum and XD? Inti Sensitive or something like that? Something along those lines? Or Inti Intel, something. I can't remember. It's been a while since I watched the beginning of the loading for those games, but it'd be interesting if they did work on another game like Coliseum or XD with them. If that company's still even around now, I'm not sure. It's been like a decade, so...
Yeah, that would be interesting. Hopefully it happens. Alright, next question. Do you think the next Pokemon games will be the Diamond and Pearl remakes or a brand new game?
You know, oh man, I think Diamond and Pearl remakes will happen, but the thing is, I think with the Switch, I don't think they necessarily need to do 2 games anymore. I think they can return to the aspect of a 3rd game for a series, except now it'll just be one big game. I mean, they could still do the 2-game thing. I think it would be a bad decision, though, to do 2 separate $60 games, unless there's a lot of content that's different between the two. I think a 1-game format would work better. So, if anything, I could see them maybe doing a Platinum remake with a lot of extensive upgrades and stuff. But I actually think that the next remake isn't going to be Diamond and Pearl. I think the next game is going to be Generation 8 or a remake of Pokemon Yellow. Because they remade Blue and Red, but they never remade Yellow. And what better... And plus, they've been pandering to Kanto since Generation 6, so I think it's either going to be a Yellow remake or a Generation 8 game.
Yeah, I don't see Game Freak doing the whole 2 games anymore, and if they are going to remake Diamond and Pearl, then they just better remake the better version, which was Platinum. You know, basically when they do these remakes, they usually do the better version. Well, mainly for Heart Gold and Soul Silver, it was basically a remake of Crystal, when you really think about it. And then, you know, Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire had the Delta episode. I don't believe that, which was basically Emerald. I don't believe that they'd go back to Kanto just yet. I think they wait until they make the Platinum remake to go back to Kanto. But they might experiment with a remake for the Switch and then do the Generation 8 games, but at this point in time, it's kind of up in the air right now, so I don't really know.
Yeah, the tough thing about this discussion is that really we're just spitballing and speculating, because other than them revealing they were working on a main series game, there's literally been nothing else revealed for the Switch title, so it's like, what could it be? What's it gonna be? Like, really, if anything, we're gonna find out some more information at E3 in, like, 7 months, so... 7 or 8 months, so, like, it's very tedious trying to figure out what they are possibly doing with this game. But it's still fun, nonetheless.
Yeah. Alright, next question. Where do you want the next games to take place?
Well, if this is going to be not a remake, so if they're not returning to Kanto, not returning to Sinnoh, or anything like that, I think, let's see, the regions they haven't based any regions off of yet. They haven't based anything off of Australia yet, or New Zealand. They could combine Australia and New Zealand. I think they're close enough together that they could do that. They could treat a New Zealand variant as like a distant second, like a Sevi Islands type deal, I think, if they did that. They haven't visited Europe. Well, they visited part of it for Kalos in Gen 6, but they could do, like, something, a more bigger version of Europe. Like, everything other than what they did with Kalos, like France and some parts of Ireland and the UK. They could do stuff on the opposite side of Europe. They haven't done South America yet. So I think it's hard because there's some things that you want to see, and there's other things that you think would be better to market. Honestly, my heart wants to go with like an Australia, New Zealand, but I think they'll probably go with South America.
Yep. Um, this one I kind of had a few places in mind. I when I was thinking about this, I kind of looked at the places they did have: Kanto, Japan; Johto, Japan; Hoenn, Japan; Sinnoh, Japan. Then Unova was New York. Kalos was France, and Alola was obviously Hawaii. So I was looking at the places they had. They had done Japan, the United States, and some of Europe. And I was thinking maybe Australia, like you were, and I was also thinking that I would like another region based off the United States, even though they already just did one. Maybe Alaska or a mixture of Washington, Oregon, and California, because those states are kind of close together, close enough to be mixed together. I was also thinking that they could do Canada as a region because, like I said, they've done Japan and the United States and some of Europe. They could do Canada, you know. Um, those are basically the ones I was thinking of. Basically, the ones that I would be okay with. If they do another region in Japan, that's fine. But I kind of think they've ran out of places in Japan to really go. You know.
Yeah, they really have, and that's interesting. You brought up Canada. I didn't really think of that, but after you did, it would kind of be cool if they did a situation like Johto and Kanto, where, because Unova was, like you said, based off New York, it had some inspiration from California as well. It'd be interesting if they did a region based off some parts of Canada, or maybe the, like you said, Oregon, Washington, states that border Canada as well, made a region based off that, and had it be north of Unova, and you could explore the Canadian-based region first, and then in the aftergame do a Kanto Johto situation, and you could re-explore a new Unova.
I actually never thought about that. That actually sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, that would be actually really fun, because I do love the Unova region. It's one of my favorite regions, so that would melt my heart into a million pieces if I could revisit an HD Unova.
So yeah, I was like talking to my brother yesterday about Generation 5 and all that, Unova. And I told him how hard it was for me to go back to other generations after Unova. And even when X and Y came out, I found myself still playing Unova more than Kalos because I just like that game so much. And don't get me wrong, Hoenn's my favorite generation, but Unova is just almost the perfect Pokemon game.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
And obviously,
right.
There's a lot of differing opinions on which Pokemon game is the best, so hopefully not a lot of people that watch this are triggered of both of us thinking Generation 5 is one of the better generations, because each Pokemon game does have their pros and cons as to why they're the best and why they aren't, so it's just an opinion. No need to be triggered, anybody.
A game opinion. Thanks for watching. Okay, no, I'm not gonna make that joke. Get the hell out of here, Matt Bat. Nobody likes you.
Future me, if you remember, can you please edit like a PNG of Matt Pat and then like shoo it away? Thank you.
I triggered a bunch more people. Anyways, on to the next question. What new Pokemon would you like to see?
Now, basing off of what I think I would like to see in terms of a region based off Australia, New Zealand, we already do have Pancham and Komala from the last two generations respectively, but I would really like to see a new... And I honestly think they could maybe pull this off for the starter Pokemon, the grass starter. A panda or a koala bear for the grass starter. Maybe like a bird for the fire type. And please, for the love of God, give us a dolphin water type. Come on! They can do a dolphin water starter. Please. Also like a kangaroo. They could do a lot of stuff instead of using inanimate objects. That's like the last couple generations have been a little bad in terms of Pokemon designs, but that's because they've been using sticking to the inanimate object thing. They really need to stop, because there are a whole lot of animals they haven't touched yet in the world that they could use for Pokemon designs, but for some reason they don't, and it kind of triggers me.
Um, as for me, it's kind of region based. If it was Australia, I could see them doing like a bird fire starter and a koala grass starter. But if it's gonna be in Australia, I could kind of see them doing a platypus instead of a dolphin. Because platypus, I think, are native to Australia. I think
They might
and
be more
the
common.
obvious,
Yeah.
more common. Yeah, and the obvious type would be water poison. But anyways, and in Australia there'd be a lot more poison types because of all the poisonous bugs and animals. I would definitely see more lizards, spiders, and frogs if it was based in Australia. If it was based in Canada, since I don't really know that much about Canadian animals, I can't really say. If it was like a mix of Washington, Oregon, and California, that I know better. It would definitely have more ghost types for Washington and a Bigfoot Pokemon for Washington. Oregon, I don't know that much. For California, definitely more fire types. Um, but it's all based on what they actually do. You know.
Yeah. And for Canada, there would probably be a lot of ice types.
Yeah, it's really snowy there. Same if they based it off of Colorado. So.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Should they add multiple save files to the game or keep it one save file?
The thing with the Switch is that you can have as many profiles as you want, so I think it'll be one save file per Nintendo Switch profile. So realistically, with the unlimited profiles you could have on the Switch, you could have multiple saves if you use a different profile for a playthrough.
Now, this one, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But it would be nice if they did have like two save files, like if you to experiment with the starters, basically. But it ain't broke, so don't fix it, really.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Should gyms return?
Yes. While the trial experiment with Sun and Moon was fine, I didn't really have much issue with the trials. Although they have been a little more difficult in Ultra Sun and Moon than regular Sun and Moon, so I do appreciate that, Game Freak. While the trials aren't, like, really bad, I'm just so used to the gym format that even just having it be a way for the last two games, last generation, I really want to see them return. Like, maybe they could incorporate the trial thing for either a side quest or even in gyms themselves. They can have mini trials and really extend what a Pokemon gym is like. Like, for example, for a grass gym, like, they could have you save certain Pokemon from a situation and then take on trainers in the middle of that, like Mix doing something for the gym leader in a trial system while battling other trainers and then fighting the gym leader. They could really extend what the gym concept is like if they kind of take stuff from the trials and put it in the gym system. But basically my short answer is yes, I would really like the gyms to return because I miss them so much.
Yeah, well, I appreciate what they did with the trial thing, trying to bring in new fans to the series. It did really upset me to find out that gyms were gone. And some of the trials were alright, don't get me wrong. It's just that it's hard to remember a lot of them. Like, the fire one where you fight the totem Slazzle was just seeing the difference in pictures. The grass one was just finding items. The water one, oh god, I don't even remember what the water one was about. And I've only played Sun and Moon. I haven't played Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, so they might be better in Ultra Sun and Moon. But I've only played Sun. And I just felt like the trials were tedious a little bit at times. Like, the one with the first one with the totem Gumshoos was definitely the most tedious out of all of them. And the one in the demo, the Sun and Moon demo was very, very tedious in my opinion, just taking pictures. I like what they did. but gyms are just so much better in their terms, and many fans know them. Even though X and Y kind of had the worst gyms, in my opinion, I can't even remember. I can only remember a few. So if they're gonna do gems again, I think they should make it more creative. And I like the idea of that you had of like mixing the trial and gym for like grass type. That would be good, to see more creativity in the gyms. But I think they should drop the whole island trial thing and just bring gyms back.
Yeah, I think Island Trial works if they do like another tropical region. Like if they did something, I don't know what other tropical island region they could base anything off of at this point. But like that would be good for that. Like, and going back to the possible Kanto remake, they could use that for like a Sevi Islands thing if they ever did the Sevi Islands again in another Kanto remake. Like that, I think the island trial format works well in an island situation. Obviously, because they are called island trials, but yeah, gyms are the way to go, Game Freak. Just make sure you bring gyms back. That's all we ask.
Yeah. All right. Next question. What features from previous Pokemon games would you like to see come back?
There are so many that they've introduced and then taken away in the last couple of generations. I really do like Pokemon Refresh from 7th generation. Interacting with your Pokemon's really cool. I think they should bring back walking Pokemon that follow you. For those who don't know, I guess maybe they tested out doing it in 7th generation, because Sun and Moon, when it got data mined after the demo came out and like everything was revealed, there were animations in the files for every single Pokemon to have a walking and running animation. So I think they maybe tried doing it, but the system limitations didn't allow them to. So with the Switch, they could probably easily do that. So I think Pokemon walking behind you or running, depending on what the trainer does, would be cool to see again. Pokemon Refresh, interacting with your Pokemon, giving them beans. Honestly, something like that has to be around, I think, from now on because of the way you evolve Eevee into Sylveon. So something like Pokemon Me, Pokemon Refresh, I think will always come back just because of the Sylveon situation. But I really did like the Dex Nav from Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. There are a lot of things that game has rightful hate for in terms of being a remake. But I think one thing they really did right is the Dex Nav. That was a really cool way to get IVs for your Pokemon, get hidden abilities, special moves, and obviously one of the ways you could hunt for shinies in that game. So the Dex Nav was really cool. Other than Dex Nav, Pokemon Refresh or Pokemon Me, and Pokemon walking behind you, I think that's really the only things I would like to see come back.
For me, kind of the same thing. Pokemon Walking with You was one of the best things in Heart Gold and Soul Silver. Definitely the most creative thing they've ever done in a remake. Pokenav, definitely obvious that it should come back because that was fun, to use and to test out. I definitely used it a lot. The Battle Frontier is something that should definitely return because I think that was only in Platinum and Emerald, and then they teased it in like Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, but it was never actually a thing, that came back. I think that would be nice. One thing that I just really want to see return is the PWT from Pokemon Black and White too.
Yes! I can't believe I forgot that. Thank you for bringing it up.
And I would like to see some new themes added to it. Like, before I gave you the idea, talk to you about this, I was thinking, wouldn't it be cool to have the PWT return? And I was thinking, the way it was set up, what in Pokemon Black and White was that you had to fight the Kanto from two Unova gym leaders, Then you'd unlock the ability to fight the mix, and then you unlock the ability for Elite Four and Champions, I think.
Yeah,
Um,
something along that line.
they should keep it like that, but then after you unlock the ability for Elite Four and then Champions after that, they should make it so you have to beat all the champions at least once to unlock island captains to be able to fight them. And then after that, this is gonna sound weird, the ability to fight the professors from the
Ooh,
generations.
that'd be cool.
And the reason I bring this up is because I actually made a list of all the professors and I researched all that they study, and I made Pokemon teams for all of them
Oh, really?
based off of what they study, and this was really hard. So if you don't mind, I would like to read those.
No, go right ahead.
So for Oak already has a team. He was unused in Pokemon Red and Blue and Yellow. You can still fight him through glitch, and it's really interesting to see his team. So his team consists of Tauros, Exeggutor, Arcanine, and Gyarados. He only had 5 Pokemon, and the 5th Pokemon was based off of the starter you chose. I was thinking of just giving him Charizard because Charizard was the popular choice. For PWT, I think you should have 6 Pokemon. So for the 6th Pokemon, I was thinking give him a legendary bird based off of your starter. So if you chose the water starter, he would have a Zapdos. If you chose the fire starter, he'd have an Articuno. And if you chose Moltres, he would have... if you chose the grass starter, he'd have Moltres. Basically that kind of thinking, because I'm automatically just giving him Charizard because that was a popular choice back when those games came out. For Elm, since he studies eggs, I was thinking of just giving him a whole team of baby Pokemon, but their final forms. His first Pokemon is Furret. Now I know that's not a baby Pokemon, but like in the manga, he had a the pre-evolution Scentret. So I was thinking give him a Furret. Then Electivire to represent Elekid, Magmator to represent Magby, Jinx to represent Smoochum, Blissey to represent Happiny, even though Happiny was introduced in Generation 4, and Togekiss to represent Togepi. For Birch studied he studied environment basically. So I was thinking of giving him a whole environmental team. So Ludicolo for water, lily pad environments, Aggron for cave environments. Oh wait, no, not cave. Like volcano environments, and there's a lot of steel, in volcano environments. Slacking for a jungle environment. Shed Ninja for like an underworld environment, like the undead or graveyard. Absol, since I'd imagine Absol would hide up in the mountains because people think it's a bad luck Pokemon. Absol for mountain environment, and Salamence for sky environment. Rowan studied evolution, so I gave him Pokemon that evolved in kind of odd and weird ways. Porygon Z, delayed since you had to have a male Kirlia with a Dawnstone, I think. Probopass, Dusknoir, Frostlass, and Mamoswine. Because Piloswine only evolves into Mamoswine when it has
Ancient power.
Right?
Yep.
Yeah. Same for Yanmega, but I figure Mamoswine is okay. But it wouldn't make sense to have 2 ice types, so they could either do Mamoswine or Yanmega. Juniper was the hardest. Juniper studies Origin, and I felt like that the only team that would suit her would be legendaries, and I didn't really want that, to have a whole professor that just had legendaries on her team, because that would be kind of uncreative in my opinion. So I gave her Pokemon based off of the routes she appears on in White 2, and I had to go on memory for this one because I haven't played White 2 in a long time. I gave her a Siniso, or whatever how it's pronounced. It's like the normal type Pokemon with the long ears. That's all. A Gothitelle, because in White 2 you see her on the region where you can find its pre-evolution. Vanillix, because in Black and White she's I think she's in the cold storage in Black and White. You see her there, if I remember right. I'm trying to remember.
No, she's in the Chargestone Cave studying Clink.
Oh, okay. Well, Vanillix either way. Slossbuck, I don't know why. Galvantula because of the Charged Stone Cave, and Darmanitan because she gives you a Rage Candy Bar to wake up the Darmanitans. Sycamore was also hard. He studied Mega Evolution and change in Pokemon, so I tried to give him Pokemon that change in weird ways. Like Sylveon is one of his Pokemon that I gave him because you have to get Eevee to max happiness in Pokemon Me. Gourgeist because of all its different sizes that it can get. Goodra because it looks kind of different from its pre-evolutions. Heliolisk because Heliolisk or whatever, however you pronounce that, because he's an electric type that evolves with Sunstone, and I just always found that odd. Excuse me. Malamar because you have to evolve it with the 3DS upside down. And for his last Pokemon, I kind of did with what I did with Oak, but I gave him Venusaur if you choose the Water starter, Charizard if you choose the Grass starter, and Blastoise if you choose the Fire starter. And yeah, those are basically the teams I gave him. I did a lot of research for them, and yeah, I hope they do something like this.
Yeah, you actually did a pretty good job. I'm impressed.
Thank you. Hopefully they do something like that. And I didn't do Queequeg because spoilers, he already has a team.
Yeah, Kukui already has a team.
Yeah. All right. So, any final thoughts?
I just hope that we do get new information before or at E3 about what this game will entail. Even if it's just a small little bit, like just a teaser trailer, like 30 to 45 seconds. We just need some new information to kind of figure out what direction they're going to go. But either way, I'm excited to see what the future holds for Pokemon games on the Nintendo Switch.
Basically the same thing, I hope we have at least a teaser or something, or like something in the anime where they tease the games. Or at E3 a small trailer, or like before E3 a small trailer. I will say one thing that I forgot to mention in the Pokemon, new Pokemon would you like to see? So, excuse me. I'd like to see them give evolutions to the already existing Pokemon like Noctowl, because I think that would be cool. But yeah, that's really it. Just hope that they're good games, and I'm really excited that we're finally getting main series Pokemon games on a console.
Yeah, that's probably the best part of the news that Pokemon games are coming to the Switch. That not only will we most likely get spin-off titles, but we are going to get the main series on the console, which is going to definitely boost sales for the Switch.
Yeah. Well, anyways, that is going to do it for this discussion video on the Pokemon games. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I have been Pancake Man.
And I've been TheJamesRolls.
And that's it. Remember to like and subscribe. And let's get out of here.